Scientology. Founded by science fiction writer L. Ron Hubbard, it's a belief system that's part self-help, part space opera, and all kinds of controversial. It claims to offer a path to spiritual enlightenment, but its critics see something far more sinister, a manipulative organization with a history of exploiting its members. Hubbard, with his background in pulp fiction, spun tales of ancient alien overlords and spiritual beings called thetans, trapped within our mortal shells. Over the years, Scientology has attracted its fair share of celebrity followers, some of whom have become its most vocal proponents. But for every Tom Cruise extolling its virtues, there are countless former members sharing stories of alleged abuse, financial ruin, and psychological manipulation. So, what's the truth about Scientology? Tonight, we're diving deep into the world of Scientology, specifically their secretive graduation ceremonies in India, to find out. Scientology has always had a knack for attracting controversy. From its early days, the organization has been dogged by accusations of brainwashing, intimidation tactics, and aggressive litigation against anyone who dares to criticize them. The internet is awash with ex-Scientologists sharing their harrowing experiences, painting a picture of an organization that demands absolute loyalty and enforces its will through fear and intimidation. Scientology vehemently denies these allegations, claiming they are the victims of religious persecution. But the sheer volume of accusations, coupled with their aggressive attempts to silence critics, has created a cloud of suspicion that hangs over the organization. It's like that friend who sends you a strongly worded text because you didn't like their vacation photos. Achieving spiritual enlightenment in Scientology is about as cheap as buying a private island. Scientology operates on a pay-as-you-go system, where every step on the path to spiritual freedom comes with a hefty price tag. Want to unlock the secrets of your past lives? That'll be $5,000, please. Interested in achieving a state of clear, free from the burdens of negative emotions? Better remortgage the house, buddy. Critics argue that this pay-to-play system preys on vulnerable individuals, leading them down a rabbit hole of ever-increasing expenses in pursuit of an elusive spiritual payoff. Scientology maintains that its fees are simply for services rendered, like paying for a therapist or a life coach. But when your therapist is charging you the GDP of a small nation for the privilege of sitting on a couch and holding onto 2 tin cans connected by a wire, you have to wonder if they're more interested in your spiritual well-being or the contents of your wallet. Now let's talk about the auditing process, because if Scientology were a Broadway musical, this would be the grand finale. Imagine sitting in a sparsely furnished room with a person across from you, holding a device that looks suspiciously like it belongs in a 1950s lie detector test. The auditor, armed with a script and an unnervingly intense gaze, will then proceed to ask you a series of deeply personal questions, probing your deepest fears and darkest secrets. Critics argue that the auditing process is a form of thought control, designed to break down your sense of self and rebuild you in Scientology's image. Scientology graduation ceremonies are the organization's version of the Oscars, the Super Bowl, and a Las Vegas magic show all rolled into one. They're lavish affairs, designed to awe and inspire, with enough pomp and circumstance to make even the Queen of England feel a little underdressed. The lights dim, the music swells, and a hush falls over the crowd as a high-ranking Scientology official takes the stage. This isn't just any official, but an operating thetan, a being of such advanced spiritual enlightenment that they can probably read your mind. The ceremony itself is a closely guarded secret, shrouded in more mystery than a Scooby-Doo episode. But rumors abound of symbolic rituals, pronouncements of spiritual breakthroughs, and enough jargon to make a dictionary editor spontaneously combust. At the heart of Scientology's belief system lies the practice of auditing. Scientology claims that auditing can cure all that ails you, from depression and anxiety to drug addiction and bad credit. The process involves a trained auditor using a device called an e-meter, which is basically a glorified lie detector test that measures your skin's electrical resistance. The auditor asks you a series of increasingly personal questions, and the e-meter supposedly detects your responses, revealing your hidden thoughts and traumas. Critics argue that auditing is a form of hypnosis or brainwashing, designed to break down your sense of self and make you more susceptible to Scientology's teachings. It's like that friend who keeps telling you how great their multi-level marketing scheme is, even though you've made it abundantly clear you're not interested. But here's the thing about auditing. It's about as scientific as a fortune cookie. In the world of Scientology, operating thetans are the rock stars, the A-listers, the VIPs who get to skip the line at the all-you-can-eat buffet of spiritual enlightenment. They're the ones who have reached the upper echelons of Scientology's belief system, transcending the limitations of mere mortals like ourselves. Think of them as the spiritual equivalent of astronauts, highly trained, incredibly dedicated, and probably prone to getting into heated debates about the best way to reheat a space burrito. Critics argue that the concept of operating thetans is just another layer in Scientology's elaborate pyramid scheme, a way to keep members striving for an unattainable goal while lining the pockets of those at the top. It's like that friend who's always bragging about their exclusive club, the one you can only join if you're rich, famous, or willing to perform embarrassing acts in public. You know, the kind of club where the initiation ceremony involves wearing a blindfold, reciting a secret oath, and promising to never reveal the recipe for their signature cocktail. India, a land steeped in ancient spiritual traditions, might seem like an unlikely place for a modern-day made-in-America religion like Scientology to take root. And yet, here we are. In recent years, Scientology has been quietly expanding its presence in India, setting up shop in major cities and attracting a growing number of followers. Scientology's arrival in India has been met with a mixture of curiosity, skepticism, and outright opposition. Some see it as a potential threat to India's rich spiritual heritage, a foreign import that could erode traditional beliefs and practices. But there are also concerns about Scientology's history of alleged financial exploitation, its aggressive recruitment tactics, and its tendency to silence critics. Behind the glitz and glamour of Scientology's celebrity endorsements and lavish ceremonies lies a darker reality, the stories of individuals whose lives have been profoundly impacted by their involvement with the organization. There are the tales of families torn apart, with children estranged from their parents and siblings pitted against each other over their beliefs. There are the stories of financial ruin, with individuals pouring their life savings into Scientology's coffers only to find themselves deeply in debt and facing an uncertain future. And then there are the stories of psychological manipulation and abuse, with individuals subjected to intense pressure, intimidation tactics, and even physical violence. These are the stories that send chills down your spine, the ones that make you question everything you thought you knew about freedom of belief and the power of persuasion. These are the stories Scientology doesn't want you to hear. Now let's talk about the elephant in the room, the striking resemblance between Scientology's organizational structure and that of a multi-level marketing scheme. Picture a pyramid, but instead of being made of ancient Egyptian bricks, it's constructed from L. Ron Hubbard books, e-meters, and enough hairspray to rival a 1980s heavy metal band. At the very top, you have the elite, the inner circle, the folks who get to wear those cool hats and speak in tongues. Below them, you have layer upon layer of Scientologists, each striving to climb higher to achieve the next level of enlightenment, to finally unlock the secrets of the universe. Scientology, of course, vehemently denies that they're a pyramid scheme. They're a religion, they argue, a genuine path to spiritual freedom. So, what does the future hold for Scientology in India? Will it continue to expand its reach, attracting new followers and establishing itself as a permanent fixture in the country's spiritual landscape? Or will it face increasing scrutiny and opposition, its controversial practices and questionable history proving too much for even the most open-minded Indian citizen to stomach? On the one hand, India has a long tradition of religious tolerance and a history of embracing new and diverse belief systems. Scientology, with its message of self-improvement and spiritual enlightenment, could potentially find fertile ground in a country where many are seeking meaning and purpose in a rapidly changing world. On the other hand, India is also a country grappling with issues of poverty, inequality, and social injustice. Scientology's exorbitant fees and its focus on recruiting new members could be seen as exploitative, preying on the vulnerable and exacerbating existing social divisions. One thing is for sure, the rise of Scientology in India is a story worth watching, a fascinating case study in the intersection of religion, culture, and the human desire for meaning and belonging in an increasingly complex world.